Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday night, my friends. And I'm back and ready and willing to go here with some more coding. The cameras just does not want to stay still. Yeah, I'm back ready to do some more stuff. We gotta redo our upload scheme, but we'll be using one that we've already kind of taken a look at and tried before, so we'll see where that goes with everything. But yeah, I hope everyone's had a good week so far. Hope everyone's healthy and happy and all of those things. So let's start out with, what was this? And we'll start out by looking at HeckFear, and I'm just going to set it up to do an upload folder like we had before, like we had in Hex, I should say. And we'll just run with that. So let's see, what am I looking for? I am looking for config, web config. Okay, so I had encoded resource resolver, add resolver, path resolver, resource chain. Okay. All right, so, and then we'll have to redo the assets table and all that stuff. But is the way that goes. Freeze web config. All right, I want registry and resource handler. That's it. Loads. Resolver. Encoded resource resolver. Web upload is not the one I want. Right. No, I needed a base directory to put them in. Page 3. So that'll just have to be something that's applied, I guess. Well, this would be installation. All base directory loads. All right, that's how I kind of had it over here. Resource chain, true, add resolver, path resource resolver. Chain, true, okay. Okay, and then this will be private string 12.3. Wired, and the qualifier I had over here was Okay. We get that going. Which right now, I guess I'll put that in the, we'll just dummy that out for right now. So, get the breeze, config, I have version properties there. Make it a bean. Call it Day breeze. Yes, for right now. And this bean particular name. Okay. So that takes care of that for the moment. I should put it to do on here. Read from config file, but read from command line. And then have that. Then I think what else? Then I have to copy this stuff up. So for emote and stuff, add emote, I insert a record to the database. Oh, then here it is. Copy emote files. So right, we do like I do that. I use the transfer to on the multi-part, right? And a new file. and then ensure the user bucket formatted. Well, I don't need to do that because everything's going to be in the upload folder. I do have to make sure uploads folder. So I should really do that when the application starts up. So let me think here. You know what? I'll just make me. I should have did that in the other one. I'm just gonna make an upload and just put all the methods in there. I don't think I need them in multiple places, but I might as well just do that. Just to kind of keep them contained a little bit. So I want to put that. Package. And new class fill. What is this doing? Is image content type. Is audio content type. I mean, those would actually be good things to put in. Is image content type. There we go. Okay. I mean, why not have them in there? I don't want to even do. Well, yeah, not null is fine. Yeah, it's, public static. What? Here. I want to do upload to files. With the multi-part file. And the ID. So I don't return anything from that, do I? I return a boolean. Okay. Load to art file and all right, and then the part file. Okay, and then we want to ensure that the upload folder. Is problem. It's gonna take a. That'll still work. All right, we'll have to do path. So if not, files exist. Paths get okay. Files. This cat. That's whether a file exists. The options requirement of using indicate how symbolic links are handled. Path to the file to test. True the file exists, false the file does not exist. Cannot be determined. Creates a directory by creating all non-existent parent directories first. Unlike the create directory method, the option is not thrown a directory cannot be created because it already exists. Okay. Use parameter is optional. Dude. Logger. And just need, I want to throw a new runtime exception. I just went logger error. Logger error. Cast. Okay, and then turn false. I see. Okay, and that's good there. So then we just say that's what the directory exists, and then try well. Actually, it's actually kind of what I want. ID plus underscore and then the file, get original file name. Okay. I just transfer to yeah, return false printer. Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, that seems pretty straightforward there. Okay, and then I need to redo this. Let's go and revert. Pull back our changes. Okay, and not gonna be content anymore. Gonna be so this will we'll have to have original file name. No. Yeah, add that in there. Rest of this stays the same. Original file name, original file name. File name being what we're calling. Okay. That's that. And then we go in here. We say file name, no file name, rid of content. Which simplifies quite a bit because we're not pushing blobs up there. So file name, original. One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then 1, 2. Original file name. This goes away. This becomes 3. Here we gotta get rid of content and do private string. Means we don't need content string anymore, which is nice. This one I'm gonna say load fill. Not image though. Is image content type. Is audio content type. Good. And then setters, file name. That on there. That's now correct. Now I just have to fix the row mapper. So don't this anymore. Don't this. File name. Okay. Save that. Good. Good. So map row there. And then this pretty much stays the same. For create asset. Yeah, that one changes. Yeah. Assets that original file name. Now this is a file name would be what should be the ID plus that. Oh. We'll see here. Unreachable catch box. No IO. Now. Okay. Yeah, this doesn't throw IO exception anymore. Actually, why was I catching only IO exception? There. Okay. Then that means when I actually this is the AO crate. Puts it into the database and then returns me an ID. So that's fine. And actually the set file name is correct there. Because all I really need is just means every time I go and get the file name to go get it, I have ID there, but I think that's fine. Trade off. Actually, yeah, I don't actually need file name. No. Get rid of it. Because it's just not useful. I'll build up the file name from what I have. So then that means over here, rid of file name 1, 2, and 3 now. Here. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay. Use that down and fix asset row mapper. No, I didn't. Okay. I got that. And over here, file name. Okay. So I think in the utility, well, we'll figure it out because I think I can put a utility method in there where I just give it the original file name and the ID and it'll run with it. Because I have... Right. So, where's my asset model? That picture, okay, so that pretty much stays the same. Right, asset there. And then, that was kind of right, but not entirely. Private ring. Oh. Was it calendar? Is that what I called it? Called bait. I feel like a little more complicated. All right, upload. Fill. File directory. And then new asset ID. Okay. If not that. Logger. Load asset ID. File system. ID. And hopefully this returns you, right? I think I would probably, but it's going to be inside of a modal, so it's not going to have the message there right away. That might be okay. It would be nice if I could bring a message back. Oh. We're returning view, right? He's gonna refresh the page. I don't know if that's what I want. I guess I do want to do that and then have it. We'll have the new asset ID there. The one you uploaded. Problem is, I don't want it to. Well, no, it's going to bring back view page, which is. Bring back view, which is assets widget. So it is going to just going to refresh the widget, the widget window. What I'll do is set a flag on the page, say that there was a failure, and then I can just print a message based on that. So we'll just say model and attribute fields load error true. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. And we'll do that. Otherwise, I'll say. Oops, wrong. I guess just the fact that the upload error is there is enough. It's either there or it's not. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. I think that will be fine. Do that. So then when I go to play them, get assets by content type. I need to put the. I guess I just piece together the URL. Or I don't need to piece together a URL because I am exposing the URL in the web server. At a particular endpoint. So all I really have to do is have the file name, and I can just make a convenience method for that. And say public string get load get loaded file name. What I want. Must be trans again. File name, and it was what? ID your file name. Phone ID, string, original file name. Go. Correct. file name. That then tells me then just do the source of the image. Okay, so that'll be in the asset list then. So I just need to go to the HTML page. Well, I have 4 copies of the POM open, but I do apparently. Assets widget. Assets page. Okay. This become what did I call it? Config upload. The md.spring.url uploads and uploads plus $site asset what file name, is that what I called it? What so oh, I don't need this, so I'm doing a here. Okay, and then similarly, same thing down here, exact same. Okay, okay. Oh, good. Go. Right. Oh, and then if there's an error, where would I put? Not on this. Over here. Pepper. I think I'll put it inside div class alert danger This would be at something like next error, upload error. And this would only be if if what did I call the thing? Upload error. Okay, this is properties. Next error. Load error. All right, got that. That in there. I think I've got everything else. So I think we're good for a test, maybe. The two errors. Oh, I think they're both. Yeah. Okay. Let's try it. That. Cancel button, not the clean button. Okay. Upload. I think I've called everything. I guess we'll find out in a second here. We'll edit this. Select image. File. Open. My logo. And what did I forget? Let's go. Asset upload file name. Non-method exception. Expected a method or a function, but this is evaluated to a 3. Oh. Okay. So if I just, you're okay with it? I don't know when it's okay with, when it's okay with just referring to things that way and when you have to actually make them function. Very wildly inconsistent. Oh, I didn't need. I didn't need to stop the presses for that. Another error? Am I missing a... Not an asset file name. As long as evaluated to null or missing asset file name. Oh, right. It's the original file. That's right. That is right. Now. Just where's that line 16 column 90? Oh, file name. Really, the alt should be. Be this, right? I could actually no. Fine being the original file name. It's actually okay. Okay, so this now referring to what? Loads 1 underscore penalty icon PNG. All right. Upload resource server respond with status. Okay. So did that not make it to where it was supposed to go, or did it make it to where it's supposed to go, but it's not exposed properly? What?
It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute. Now is the time to put aside your weak human side and join me in remaking this world.
Oh.
What is a man?
That's a he loads third state.
How about you?
Oh, was that a? It was probably from X. Because I'm like, does it? Okay. Yeah, that was probably a snafu with The other one is definitely. Okay. I should have known that I'm going to handle it properly. I mean, that kind of a goofball thing on my part to think that it would handle that correctly. That's not how that works. Let's just fix that right now. And issue config. Yeah, I don't know why. Okay. And yeah, okay. That'll be I think that will work. Because I could actually take this install base directory now and say like this is where the database is supposed to be as well. Want to do that. Do that at some point though. Clean build. This and start it up.
How is it that I've been so defeated?
You have been doomed ever since you lost the ability to love.
Sorry, I had just I was running through my brain stuff here. I think we're good. I realized for a minute there, I was like, just kind of staring out off into space for a second. Like I was actually in my own head doing stuff. I wasn't just like staring in disbelief or anything like that. All right, so this is definitely not. I mean, that won't work. Not uploaded to the folder. Ever. Database. We'll delete. Delete that asset there, and we'll try this again. Do this icon. Want my logo. Upload. Okay. That not end up where it was supposed to. Freeze. It did not end up. Why did that go directly there? Not. I didn't tell to put it. I told to put it in the install base. Okay. I really would. So F plus loads. Okay. We're getting there slowly but surely. This was a nice generic function, but then I put uploads in there, but I think I'm going to be shoving everything into uploads anyway, so I think this if I need another one, if I need an override of this method, then I'll like a boolean on this. Do the necessary here to get rid of that extra flourish. Good. Do here, do this, that again. Just for the sake of argument. Yes. Fresh image. Error uploading file. Okay, well, at least we know the error worked. What was the error? What was the error? You prefer Eclipse over IntelliJ? Yes. And welcome on in, Jacka. I've started using IntelliJ at work. And it's got some, it definitely has some nice features, but I don't like the user interface. it's too, everything's kind of hidden in plain sight. And I don't like the way they do their tabs. Like, first of all, the code panel itself, the file itself, like there's a lot of decorators that it throws in and stuff that I don't really need all the time. Like I don't necessarily need to know that the last person who touched this was so-and-so until I need that information. So I hate having like all that extra stuff on there. And I'm sure there's probably a way to turn it all off, but having it all on by default makes the screen super busy. Number one. Number two, their dark mode. I've been going through a ton of themes trying to find a good dark mode for IntelliJ, and all of them suck compared to just the Darkula thing in Eclipse. Like where's Eclipse? Like this is actually, this isn't even Darkula. This is just the out of the box dark theme that they have now, right? Like for some reason I can read this much better. I've tried a couple different dark modes. I've tried Darkula, I've tried Complete Black, I've got all kinds of things, and all of them just, none of them make the text easy to read. Like all the text easy to read. Most of it is okay, but there's a lot of like little things that just are really difficult, and especially when it highlights a row or yeah, when it highlights a line, like it starts to make a lot of the text highlight. You know, the highlight makes a lot of the text hard to read and stuff. So that was one thing, and then what is the yeah, see, I just have the dark theme on, which just comes with Eclipse now, and it's just, it works. It's like I can read everything, which is great. Regardless of whether it highlights it or not. Like, see, the highlights don't interfere with being able to read it and all that stuff. I do like that it shows the usages right away. Like when you go next to a method, you could say, oh, it's got 3 usages, and you can just click on it and it shows you all that stuff. I think that's fantastic. In Eclipse, you can kind of do that, but you have to do like Control-Shift-G, I think. And then it puts it down in the search here, and you kind of have to dig through the search a lot. So I do like the way that IntelliJ presents that stuff. I don't like the way IntelliJ does Git. It's got some advantages, like being able to, like it's easier in IntelliJ to squash commits, which I do a lot. Which is great. You can do that in Eclipse, and I do that in Eclipse, but you have to jump through you have to do a couple of mechanisms to do it. But when it comes to like viewing the history and stuff and seeing the differences and things, IntelliJ just kind of, it throws the Git tree at you, which I've never liked as a view. Like I just want to see the current branch I'm on, the history of the current branch I'm on. I don't care how many times things have moved around. You know, I'm just trying to compare two things, you know? So some of that I don't quite like. I can get used to it, and I'm going to have to get used to it. But it's, I like, for me, the thing that I really like about Eclipse is I like the perspectives. So I like that I can just come under here and I can just open a different perspective. And yes, some of these are overlapping. I don't know why you need a Java EE perspective versus a Java browsing. Who knows, right? But like they take all the stuff that you don't really care about on a day-to-day basis, or you don't care about that much, or you only get into like once a day, like Git and stuff like that. They just kind of shove it into a different perspective. Even debug, they kind of shove into a different perspective. Then that way it just keeps it keeps everything relatively clean. You don't have 5,000 things on the side of your window and on the other side of the window. And I mean, I've never seen, like, IntelliJ Hi, Ginger. Welcome on in. I've never seen... IntelliJ is one of those things where if you ask somebody, like you're trying to navigate through it and you're trying to tell somebody how to do something in there, and they're like, press the three button, menu. And it's like, okay, there's 25 3-button menus. The 3-dot menus. There's like 25 of them all across the screen. And they all have different contents in them. It's like, do you want the one in the northeast, the southeast, the west? It's like, I get, they're trying to push everything off to the side, but I really wish they would get a grip of their UI treatment. I like that they push everything off to the side. I like that the code is front and center. But like the other problem I have is navigating files. Like I know you can hit shift twice and you get the whole file thing. You can search for files. But as you can see here, I love keeping files open because I'm jumping from one file to the next, to the next, to the next very often. And IntelliJ, first of all, I had to tell it it was only keeping the last 10 open and it was closing them automatically. So I had to tell it, no, keep the last 60 open. But then it's not as easy like to come over here and just scroll through and find stuff. It doesn't, like, it has that, but it's not, it only like shows the last 10. I can't get it to like show me more than that. And it's just kind of, and everything just kind of gets jumbled up. And I'm like, I'm trying to move from one file to the next. And it's like, it's trying to find files in there and everything else is just rough. Like you end up having to hit double shift constantly to reopen a file you already have open because it's just faster than trying to find it in the mess that is their UI. Right. But I like in Eclipse, it's a little bit easier in that regard. Like it kind of just gets out of your way and lets you just do what you need to do. But that's my biggest complaint about it. I told you, I like everything else it does, and it's got a lot of components to it and a lot of polish. They really just need to rethink their UI. Like everything's kind of buried in plain sight, and I want a relatively clean works. It doesn't have to be, Visual Studio Code clean. It can be a little bit more messy than Visual Studio Code. I mean, I like Eclipse. Eclipse is definitely a little bit more messy than Visual Studio Code, but it just kind of needs to it needs to take a lot of the noise and just not have it on by default. Like I understand they want to show you all the different features, but I don't need them all on as soon as I've installed. I just let me turn those things on that I care about. Like I don't need a blame on every line constantly on. I don't need a lot of the other stuff that kind of pops up in your face. And it's just stuff like that. And it's got good refactoring features finally. I mean, they finally have caught up to Eclipse in terms of refactoring. But yeah, I mean, they're mostly, I mean, it's minor. My complaints are really minor, but it's what it is. Do I know how to fluently code Python? No. I have not ever written anything in Python. It's one of the languages that I kind of would want to learn at some point, just because it is so popular and it is so ubiquitous. But I've never sat down to learn it. That's all it's come down to. I would like to though. And I could probably figure a lot of it out. It's just the problem. Figuring out a language is usually not difficult if it's your second language that you're figuring out. You know, like if you already got one language under your belt, trying to figure out another one's usually not too bad, like figuring out the syntax and stuff. What's really difficult is the ecosystem around it. Like it's not so much to learn the language, it's you have to know what libraries to use and when it's appropriate to use them and how they work and all that stuff. That's usually the biggest hurdle for me is like, I need a project in Python that would require me to use a bunch of libraries and learn how those libraries work. You know, I can't just do like a hello world and expect to figure it out. So that's kind of where I'm at. I would like to learn it, just to have it, just to for the knowledge, for nothing else. You know, if nothing else. So, yeah. Projects in new language usually just combine a bunch of different formats and styles I see from tutorials. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to start out, is to just look at the tutorials, look at the, look at how, like take bits and pieces of each of one of this and one of that and kind of put them together and see how they work together. It's even nicer if it's like some sort of, if there's like an open source project that you can kind of like do a fork of and just kind of, play around in it a little bit and then see if you can make changes and stuff like that. All that stuff kind of works. I mean, I learned Elixir just by working on Glimish, the Glimish streaming site, which sadly doesn't exist anymore. I didn't know Elixir before I started helping them out with some code, and their GitHub was there. I went and did it and just learned it as I went. And Elixir wasn't too bad. There's some limitations in the language there that I don't particularly enjoy. And and some of those limitations are so bad you have to do a workaround. Like they have actual workarounds built into the language because of their limitations. But it was a really cool project to work on. Yeah. So okay, so I got uploads on there, right? Started. Oh, I got a field. Right. What happened here? Failed to upload file to the file system. Okay. So, oh, I wonder if I don't have, I was able to upload to, no such file. Oh, it didn't make, oh, I know what's I forgot to add here. That's what it was. Have I worked with any entity component system based projects? Entity component system. If you're not sure, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what an entity component system is. Are you talking like like an object model, a database object modeling library or something like that. Sort of like a Hibernate or the component. Let's see what the yeah, I've never heard of this before. What's of data? Composition over inheritance mean that every entity is defined not by a type hierarchy, but by the components that are associated with. Example, component system, engineering with lists. So no, I mean, this is my first look at it, so I have not worked on this on this kind of system before. There's an entity component characterizes an entity as processing a particular aspect, holds the data needed to model system. Add or remove or modify components eliminates the ambiguity problems. Get oriented design techniques, oriented program. Beef the Dark project pioneered in ECS. The engine was later used for its sequel as well as System Shock 2. It's great for large structured data that requires lots of classes that inherit properties from each other. You instead add components that don't necessarily inherit from God classes and instead keep code secluded to its necessary class. So it's like it's a system of black boxes, kind of. That's interesting. So Unity released its Megacity demo that utilized a tech stack built on ECS. At 100,000 audio sources, one for every car, neon sign, and more, creating a large, complex downscape. This is interesting. So they're using an observer pattern for stuff. See, also model view controller. Really? This doesn't sound like a model view controller. I mean, I guess from a if you stretch reality enough, you can get a model view controller out of this. But no, this sounds much more complex than just a model view controller. Definitely great in multi-threaded environments as well. I would imagine so, because you've got the state, you've got the object, and you've got its state all of its business logic probably tied in to one entity, and you can just execute on that as needed. Normal way to transmit data between systems is store the data in components and then have each system access the components sequentially. Position of an object can be updated regularly. This position is then used by other systems. If there are a lot of different infrequent events, a lot of flags will be needed in one or more components. Systems will then have to monitor these flags every iteration, which can become inefficient. The solution would be to use the observer pattern, blah, blah, blah. Has no trouble with dependency problems commonly found in object-oriented programming. Since components are simple data buckets, they have no dependencies. Each system will typically query a set of components an entity must have to operate on it. For example, a render system might register the model, transform, and drawable components. When it runs, the system will perform its logic on any entity that has all of these components. Other entities are simply skipped with no need for complex dependency trees. However, this can be a place for bugs to hide. Right. Okay. Gotcha. So it's kind of object-oriented, but kind of not. So this is basically saying you're running through a list of components, and they have to implement a certain interface. And if they don't, then you skip it. Basically. Huh. Yeah, my first look at that, though. How they put like this is written like a personal reflection, personal essay, or argumentative essay. Like October 2013. It's just a weird thing to put on there. It's like that'd be an encyclopedic style, but no, it gives me all the information I kind of need. Helps remove the dependency trees a lot of OOP software has. Yeah, I would imagine so. But that's, I mean, I tend to not do... I tend to not do real OOP when I code anyway. And this is true even at work. Like I mean, obviously I create classes and I occasionally will create an interface, but I usually don't go more than like one level deep on thing, because it becomes unwieldy to maintain and hard to grok, you know? So there's an argument that says that I'm not really doing OOP correctly anyway. I'm doing more of a OOP / functional hybrid thing than more than anything else. But then again, most of the time I'm not writing an API. Right? You see these libraries that are out there that we use all the time, and they're written with all these patterns involved, and they have all this hierarchical tree that goes crazy. And to an extent, they kind of need that because they're writing an API and they don't know where somebody wants to inject themselves into it necessarily. But on the same path, it's just like sometimes they just go a little overboard. Spring is a good example of just going overboard sometimes. Like builder patterns for configuration just to support the lambdas and stuff. It's like you guys picked the most complicated way to do the simplest thing. You know, just because you wanted to use a lambda for something. And it's like, you know, doesn't really need someone to go in there and just kind of clean house and just say, look, let's keep it simple. You know? But that's, you know, neither here nor there. I mean, that's kind of my take on it is I don't need to, I mean, look at this. I've got a utility class and it's all static method, right? Because all I really need is something that's pretty straightforward and easy to use. I don't need these giant hierarchies of objects usually. Modding games definitely helps see how large companies handle optimizing large projects. Yeah, I would think so. I haven't modded any games in forever. I back in the day when I was first learning C and stuff, I did write like some custom missions for Starfleet Command 1. They had like a whole development kit, and then all you had to do was write like a DLL, and you could use their development kit to create missions, create custom missions. And I did write one or two in that when I was back in high school and just kind of learning, teaching myself how to code in C. But I didn't do much else beyond that. And I know there's all kinds of tools now to help you kind of do things. I have looked at a few things. Like I've been waiting for, like, you know, the mod kit to come out for Starfield. I've wanted to do some things with that. I've looked briefly at what it would take to mod like Stardew Valley. I haven't actually done anything yet. I kind of feel like at some point I need to actually do something in one of those. Just for the kick, you know. But yeah, it definitely gives you more insight into like what I used to love reading. There was a game development website that I don't remember the name of. I don't even know if they're still around or not. I think it was called GameDev. .com or something. And they used to publish or used to link to a lot of postmortems for games. And I think there was another site too that used to publish the actual postmortems. They would talk to developers and talk to them about what kind of challenges they had on creating the games, and it was always fascinating to me. I always liked to read those because, you know, they would give you some fascinating insight into like some of the optimizations they would do, like the 11th hour optimizations just to get something to work on the hardware they were trying to get it to work on. Trying to get it to work on the Xbox 360, and we threw some fog up, here and there, or we decided to hard code or hand lovingly code some physics because the physics calculations were taking too long in this one particular area. So we just kind of fudged it, and it looked good enough, and we kind of ran with that, that kind of thing. Those were always fun to read. You don't get too much of that anymore. They're all like, there's a lot of that, like the Game Informers of the world and all that stuff. They used to go really in depth with some things like that, and now it's just all lowest common denominator pop culture stuff. Games, for better or for worse, became part of pop culture, and now they're getting the typical entertainment treatment of very shallow takes and no substance. Just get the information out there, echo whatever the press release says, and try to get as many eyeballs on it as you can as quickly as possible. Be as acerbic as you can. Get those rage clicked in and all that stuff. It's unfortunate, because there's a lot of information there that could really, there's a lot of information that I feel like gets lost because you got developers who now can't really talk to users as much anymore, and they're just taking their information and they're you don't get they're not sharing it anymore. That's the part of coding I find fun. There's nothing perfect realization and trying to solve problems with different styles while still not burning yourself out. Yeah, exactly. That's why that's one of the reasons why I didn't stay in one industry. Like I when I change jobs, I change industries usually. I started in insurance. I went into e-commerce. I've done health, and stuff like that. And it gives you a different perspective. Like you realize like everybody's got the same problems, more or less. It's just they have different restrictions around the solution. So the solution you came up with for the one company isn't going to work for this company because you've got a whole different set of criteria, and you've got a whole different set of maybe you have a bigger user base, or maybe you have a smaller user base, so you don't have to go to the extremes you went to with another one, and that's always fascinating to see. That kind of gives you that like very different perspective, and it allows you to just kind of boil things down to do what you need to do for now without, don't do more than what is required for the immediate future, but also don't screw yourself in the future. It's kind of that balance. It's the whole don't pre-optimize kind of thing, but it's instead of don't pre-optimize, it's more like remember your audience, right? Like if you don't have a whole lot of users, why are you writing microservices, right? Like just write a monolith and call it a day. You don't have to, not everything has to be the Ferrari. I mean, not everything has to be the Ferrari Testarossa of coding. Sometimes you just need a Pinto. Sometimes a Pinto will do. Sometimes you just need something to get you from point A to point B, and you don't really need a whole lot of fuss or muss along the way. It's very much the same thing. Just remember your target audience as you're doing things. And even then, it's like there's no hard and fast rule. I mean, I worked for an e-commerce company that did $1 billion worth of sales during the holiday season. They had millions upon millions of hits a month, and they were a monolith. Not only were they a monolith, but they were Model 1 for the most part. Like they had ridiculously crazy JSPs with no model view controllers or anything. Like, and I was in there in a group that was trying to actually introduce like model view controllers and Spring and all kinds of other things, and try to make a core app and bring all these disparate things together and actually get some sanity in there. And but they like, that's how they ran for years. Like the most basic, insane architecture you could come up with, and it performed well enough to do what it needed to do. Sticking to format is definitely a big thing that burns me out for big projects, especially in areas I want to improve yet don't have the motivation to change. All the format just match one improvement. Yeah. Big projects that don't depend on libraries can lead to huge headache for future developers who have to work on it now. True. I mean that's always a and the thing is too, it's like, so like even in that company that I worked at, they had a lot of people who went and just kind of reinvented the wheel. And there's a time and a place for reinventing the wheel, right? You're doing some throwaway projects on your own time, by all means, go reinvent the wheel, your heart's content. Because at some point, it's helpful because it helps you to understand how things work under the cover. You know, it's always a good thing if it's on your own time and your own dime to learn the under the cover stuff, because it'll help you be better at what you're doing. But when you're working for somebody else, you really gotta think to yourself, is this something that I really need to do? Right? Is this the time and the place for me to start reinventing the wheel, or should I just look to see if someone's already done this, and go with that? And it's and I've worked on systems that were years and years old, decades old, and 5 years, 7 years, 10 years ago, maybe they didn't have the libraries that we have now necessarily. And so then back then it was, so writing this whole custom MVC framework that they did, or this whole custom tag lib that they did, made sense to them because they didn't really have access to libraries to do that, or that did that well. But the problem was, and this is the thing that I keep trying to drive home to like people at work, is my colleagues and stuff, is like, you need to be always refactoring. It is so important to be constantly going back to old code and saying, can this be better than it was? Because I see so many systems that have code that's growing moss, essentially. Like, code has a shelf life, it's so old. Sometimes the code is so old that, yeah, sure, it worked, but nobody wants to deal with it because it's gotten so old and so out of date and become such a bugbear to try to refactor that nobody wants to spend the time to do it. Nobody wants to be that person to pull that Band-Aid off, right? Until the whole thing breaks, which it will eventually do. And then you're like, well, now we're really screwed. We got to deal with it, And that's why I'm constantly pushing us to like always revisit some code and say like, can we do this better? Let's refactor this. Let's refactor that. Let's refactor this thing and that thing. And let's get this, looking, let's make sure that we're not behind. Like, I'm always updating our libraries, updating our library versions, doing what's needed to keep up to sync with those. Because, yes, there's a risk in doing that, but it's worth the risk. Because you'll know ahead of time before anybody else knows whether or not, we're in a bad pattern that we need to fix, But I feel very strongly about that, and it's hard to get other people to on board with that, because there's this notion that if it just if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and it's like, yeah, that's part of it, certainly, but you don't you take your car for routine maintenance at least once a year, right? If you don't, well, that when it comes time for its actual maintenance, you're going to have some problems, probably, that maybe you would have avoided. Maybe it's something you would have avoided some of that wear and tear if you were a little bit more up-to-date, right? And that's the same code's the same way, It needs to be taken care of sometimes. Why it's great to exclude different sections to its purpose and make it readable to others. Yeah, exactly. The overall flow diagrams of project, but some developers don't like it because it's time consuming, just the same as documentation. Yeah, I'm not a big flowchart guy either. I'm also not a big documentation guy either. but it's, to me, it's more important. Like I learn by doing, which is probably sums up all of these coding streams. It's just me pounding my head on the keyboard because I'm doing things wrong, and then I finally get them right. Because that's how I learn. I learn by just doing stuff. And to me, the best thing you can do is to make sure that there's no part of the system that someone on your team hasn't been in at some point in time. You know, always rotate around. Don't have a czar of one particular, feature or another particular feature or something like that. Keep bringing people into every different part. Have the person who is the subject matter expert on it mentor the person, or be there at least to answer questions for the person who is coming into it brand new. And just like keep rotating those chairs, right? And that way, when someone invariably and inevitably leaves the company, the brain drain is not as significant, right? Because everybody theoretically has had a chance to get their hands dirty in some area of the system, and the system is no longer as good as one person could make it. It's now as good as everybody can make it. You've got multiple brains looking at it and working on the problem, massaging the rough edges, and just kind of like everybody's got real world knowledge and real world experience with it, right? Which can be it's really difficult when you've got 500,000 or 1 million line code system, and I get that. I really do get that, but I think it's still doable. It's just you have to, again, it coincides with the always be refactoring, right? Because the perfect thing to do is to have somebody else who didn't originally write it refactor it. Teamwork is the dream work. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's how I kind of feel on that. Like, I've seen companies where they didn't really have their technical problems stemmed from culture problems, right? Where you had all these teams that never really wanted to interact with one another, and yet they were kind of forced to interact at some level, some basic level. And so what they would do is they would just kind of hold their information close to their chests, and then if anybody needed it, they would just toss documentation over the fence and go, "Here, read this," and then that's it. It doesn't matter if that documentation was good, bad, or indifferent. It was now up to it was. They had washed their hands of it. They were, the subject matter experts said, "We're out," and the reality is you need subject matter experts working with other people who aren't, and you need them spreading their knowledge if you want all these disparate systems to work as one whole. And quite a few companies I've worked for have had that problem where everything's siloed, and it's just the e-commerce. I mean, a good example of the e-commerce company that I worked for back in the day, they had all these silos set up around particular customer implementations and all that stuff, because they were a white label e-commerce suite, so you would never know that they were the ones running the servers and running the warehouses. It was all branded as the site, Toys R Us, for instance, was a branded site that we had. You would never know that we ran it because we're a white label. Although you would know that somebody goofed up because, you know, we did have a problem where one point it was possible to buy the databases between the catalogs between that client, Toys R Us, and another client, Dick's Sporting Goods, got a little messed up. And you could buy hunting rifles on Toys R Us, which was, you know, we could laugh about it now, but it was certainly not a fun time to be there. But it was. I ended up having to kind of, I guess. So I was working on a core team that was trying to remake the whole system and make it, you know, better and make it common, have common functionality and stuff, and try to take all these custom implementations and try to build a common baseline out of them. And I just kind of took it upon myself to just befriend all the, you know, at least somebody from every one of the other silos. You know, go to lunch and all those things. Just because the communication between the silos was so bad. And it was that schmoozing that I did that enabled me to get enough information to make sure that we were going to be successful in what we were doing. Because there were times where we were working on things and I would get information that someone was working on something that was going to completely blow us out of the water. And we, you know, our management had no idea that it was going to happen. And I had to bring it to them and go like, you better go talk to this team because they're doing something that's going to affect us. And that saved our butt so many times. And it was just something I had to do, something because nobody else was doing it. No one was reaching across the lines. And you know, it's just, I see that I've seen that in a couple different companies, and it just kind of blows my mind, you know? Sounds like it would cause a lot of heart problems for a lot of people. Like, did I do that? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was, that entire system, like, it was so customizable. Like, this is one of the reasons why I rail against customization a lot of times, is because that system literally had flags to turn so many things on or off, to the point where it was not possible for our quality assurance team to test every combination of the flags. There were just thousands of them. You know, every time you introduce a flag, it's another set of permutation. And we had thousands of them. And there was no possible way for them to test all out. And that was just one of those things. Somebody flipped, you know, switch A, switch G, and switch L, and voila, you know, kids could get, you know, a hunting outfit suddenly it's showing up on a store it shouldn't be showing up on, you know, or you know, whatever else was going on. So it was just one of those things where, yeah, somebody messed up, but I feel more bad for the person that messed up than I would normally, because it was such an easy mistake to do. You know, there was no guardrails in place. You know, just one wrong flip and it's like, you know, suddenly you've got things showing up on sites they shouldn't be showing up on. They found it and corrected it pretty quickly. but there was still a 20-minute window in there where things were not great, and the customer, understandably, was not happy about that. You know, the Toys R Us was always a rough customer because they learned what a lot of customers learned, which is if you're loud and obnoxious and you yell a lot, you'll get stuff done for free. So they were that kind of customer. And so, anything that would give them extra fodder to not have to pay the bill that month was an instant headache, let's say. Definitely a management problem and not that person's fault. Yeah. I mean, there was enough fault to go around. Most definitely. But again, that comes down to like the system. Like nobody sets out and says we're going to have 1,000 switches in a system, right? It just accumulates over time. And that's exactly what happened, is that it kept, there was just one switch here, just one switch there, just one switch there. Oh, 5 switches over here. Oh, 3 switches over there. Oh, it's no big deal. And because no one ever went back and refactored the system and said, what the hell are we doing? And why are we doing this? Is this even needed anymore? Like most of them weren't even used anymore. We had so many dead code paths. It was crazy. And because that had never been done, that stuff was just allowed to accumulate. That's the way it happened. It's just, it's, again, I mean, that's my learned experience, right? Like seeing that stuff happen and going, okay, this is why we need to be diligent about going back to old code and making sure everything's correct, everything's working, and we need to be diligent about keeping up to date with like things that are happening in development. Is something going to get deprecated? Like, Chrome is deprecating things all the time. Google's saying, we're getting rid of things all the time, and like you got to be on top of that stuff because otherwise it just hits you from the blue, and then when it does hit, you don't have time to do a proper fix. You start doing hacks. And then one hack becomes 10 hacks, becomes 100 hacks, becomes a nightmare, Love watching videos on a GitHub incident from when they delete a lot of their code base from one simple mistake. It makes you realize a lot of companies don't bother enough with us. Yeah, I saw that too. I saw the GitLab incident as well. And not only that, but the more recent, the Amazon AWS. No, not Amazon. Was it Amazon? No, Google. The Google Cloud incident, where they just deleted an entire financial organization's cloud. Just, a bank's, cloud-based systems just went away. Financial systems all just went away. And that bank, I think it was Australian based, had backups of all their data in AWS in addition to Google. So they were like paying out the wazoo because you're paying AWS and you're paying Google at the same time. But having all those backups at AWS saved their entire company. Like they had everything backed up and ready to go. And they were only down for, I think it was only like a couple hours that they were down while they restored their systems, or they had to, I think they had to redirect their URLs and stuff like that, which usually takes a hot minute. So yeah, it's like whoever in that company was like, yeah, we're gonna you guys want to move to Google because it's cheaper, but we're going to keep some AWS stuff and we're going to keep backups over here, whether you like it or not. Probably should have been given the biggest raise they could possibly be given, because that's insane. Because no sane person thinks, oh yeah, my entire cloud that we're paying for is just going to go away with no backups. Like, not only did their cloud go away, but the cloud backups in Google went away. Like they nuked everything. It's like, what? You know? And that was, I mean, right there is like, you know, try to keep that very important to just be, sometimes it's very important to be paranoid, depending on what you're dealing with. And when you're dealing with financial information, it's more paranoia is usually better from what I've gathered over the years. Business could do with a small investment having a local backup service. Well, yeah. And I mean, always have offline backups too. I mean, people scoff, but like tape drives are still fantastic, right? I mean, there's one thing I learned from my first job, from the sysadmin at my first job. It's that as antiquated as tape backups may seem, they are absolutely vital, because you can take a backup, it's on tape, it's all there, your entire system's there. You just take that tape home with you, or you send one. I think they used to send one to like Iron Mountain or something like that for secure storage, and take one home or whatever, something to that effect. And just always have that like off-site, offline backup. You never know when, like, disaster. You never know when something's going to catch on fire and destroy the building or whatever. Yeah. Go and delete this and try re-uploading it. See if I've got path right finally here. I've got this right finally. That's... Hey, it's now working correctly. That's awesome. Alright, how about... Okay. Why the no files uploaded is still showing up. I'll have to fix that, but... Oh, I know why that's showing up, because it's doing an inline, right? This has to be in line with this. That's not. Alright, I'll have to fix that. Like that Pixar employee who saved Toy Story 2 from a local home backup when someone deleted the entire thing from the studios. Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine... Like, in the age of digital now, I can't imagine how many movies and stuff we're going to completely lose at some point. I mean, it's not like it's not like it's any different than when things were on physical media, but now that everything's DV and DV tape and all that stuff, I wonder how much is just going to disappear or evaporate once the cost to store it in a backup becomes too great. All right, so the upload is kind of working now. I don't know if I have any audio things I can upload. Do I have any audio things I can upload? Actually, I probably can I access. I access Samba share. No, I don't think I can do that. Network. Well, thank you, Jacka. I appreciate it. I appreciate it greatly. And you have a good day or night, depending on what it is for you. Search folders SMB. That's what I'm looking for. Will you find Graythor? That is the question. Not looking promising. Found a Dama? Interesting. Yeah. SMB. Can we... I just say S on Gray 4. Can't resolve it, but what is the... See if I can find the URL of it. Properties. No, you're not going to give me properties? Okay. How about you? You're going to give me properties? No? You're just going to ignore the whole right click and properties, eh? Oh, here we go. I don't know the IP of the governor. There we go. All right, let's try this. Right, 192, 168, 1.1. Okay. Why not? I wonder if I don't have snobbish on that. Once. Oops. That 192, once that 1.12. Hide the screen just for a second while password goes in. Okay. I turn. Panel. Enable SMB serve. It is running. Work group, work group. SMB colon slash slash. Oh. Master browser, veto files. Unique. Not connect. Is it because of the capital G? Doesn't like it? Keeps correct. Huh. That's weird. I can clearly get to the box from this computer. I just can't get it through the combo. That's weird. That's settings. I mean, I would imagine SMB2 is enough for it. Dock wings. Oh. Weird. Yep. Here. Uh, supposed to use file browser, connect to use other connections. Want to mount it. I don't necessarily want to mount it. I just want to get to it. Man, a shell, not a GUI. Authentication. Yeah, I guess it would be nice to have a mount there, but I right now. Do they have Flash Home? Flash Synology username? Why would that be a thing? I wonder if that's what I'm missing. No, no, I want any of that. Weird. Anyway, getting sidetracked here. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can get audio thing here somewhere. What my oh. All right, let me hide this just for a second because I don't know everything that's. I have a lot of stuff in drop. I don't want everything be in there on screen. I don't want to. I guess any one of these will work. Just this. Okay. Pull this back up. Try this. Okay, did that fail? Failed. Failed to complete a request. Oh, I wonder if that was Was it too big? File itself? That's the other thing I gotta check to see if the files are... That's only 5.7 meg. Try it different. Seems like it. Not happy. 23, 46, yeah. Name assets page model. Failed to complete request. Fusion state closed as not writable. Okay. Problem. There are other parameters configured to following link. There's a detailed list. Overhead count factor. The factor to apply when counting overhead frames to determine if the connection has too high an overhead. It should be closed. The overhead count starts at -10. The count is decreased for each data frame sent or received. Each header frame received. The overhead count exceeds 0. The connection is closed. Value of less than 1 disables this protection. Normal usage value 3 or more will close the connection before any streams can complete. If not specified, the full value of 1. Lots of resources. That read timeout. Upgrade protocol. 20,000. Okay. This definitely seems like a Tomcat. So, this up. And no, this I need this. Click on things down there. For XML upgrade protocol. Feed time feed out. Thousand. They said here. Alright, we'll try that. This has for us. And we'll start. Okay. It uploaded them. Huh. Interesting. Here. Try this again. Second. Do it. Okay. And upload. Oh yeah, that worked. Putting that time out there. Huh. Does this actually play? Yes, it does. Okay. I mean, nothing. I'm surprised that it just like completely ignores the modal dialogue, but the window. But that's okay. That seems to be working. Speaking of the modal dialogue window, we need to expand that a little as it stands. So let's go and where are we at here? On the widget wrapper. We're on the settings. We're on the alert settings. Alert. Common field. Yeah. And that is. Oh. And was it? It's like large. Little dialogue. Where does the size? Going long content, vertically centered. The grid. I should be doing container fluid, huh? All right, well, we'll do that. Here, dynamic height. Okay, it goes on the modal dialog. Modal small, modal large, modal do modal large. Yes. Yeah, so there's a full screen modal now? Ew. Yuck. Yuck. I say to that. Modal dialogue, modal large. So here. Next look up. Modal play. Modal class B. Modal large. Okay. Those. back over here, wherever we're at. Slightly better, but I do need to do the which page the class is inner flex out ahead. Container fluid. Do that. Looking a little bit. These are out of whack, but I usually have problems with these. I usually have to mess with them a little bit. That's good. And we'll have to mess with this. Probably should put title into to mess with the spacing around here a little bit. And then I probably should put some JavaScript in to make sure you don't go over the maximum file size limit, like tell you right away if it's too large a file. And then we gotta get these wired up so that they actually select what you want. And then have that come onto the page and then save that. I'll move the save and cancel buttons down. But that's good. Okay. I think we've gotten past our upload woes anyway. Things are showing up now, and I just have to kind of button up the rest of that and then get all integrated into the actual alert. So we'll do that tomorrow night, my friends. This is the week of development, Magenta Breeze development. Doing like a little special week here. Next week, I believe, is the Steam Next Fest, so we'll be playing mostly games, probably all week, or most of the week anyway. So doing that, and yeah, for the rest of this week, we'll be right up till Saturday. We'll be doing some more coding with this, and hopefully trying to get this to a point where I can start to like package it together and see what the install is going to be like and see what launching Jetty is going to be like and making sure that's configured properly and trying to get some of these pieces together, and may or may not get to the actual integration with Twitch and with YouTube at some point. I'm not optimistic that I'll get to that point this week. But we're getting a little bit closer here. So I do want to I don't want to do anything beyond the alerts that I have right now until I've got at least the Twitch integration for those alerts in place. And then once I've got that, then I can, and I know what kind of information I'm getting back and all that stuff. Then we can make the more of the features and stuff. I don't want to go and do more features until we've got the alerts. We've got our basic alerts. They're showing up in OBS. And now it's just a matter of making sure these are showing up in OBS with images and sound, and make sure the text size and all that stuff works. And then let's get the alerts actually working. And then we can start piling on top of that with all the other stuff. Is a good way of doing this, hopefully. So that's it. That's it for me for tonight, my friends. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out and keeping me company and all of those things. Is anybody online right now that I can send you to? No, there is not. All right, so I'll just let you guys disperse on your own. And I will say thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone has an excellent morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what it is for you, and hope to see you back here again in the future for some more stuff, whatever happens to suit your fancy. Until then, goodbye.
Who are you, and how did you get in here?
I'm the locksmith. And I'm the locksmith.